Information about people is one of the most significant and important assets that any organisation has. In the next 2 years, there are a huge number of things that are going to cause you to change the way you manage information about people. You're going to commit a lot of resource and spend a lot of money on doing it. So it's important that you get it right, or you get it as right as possible. And one of the most important parts in doing that is to make sure that we scope out our understanding of what the challenge is as best we can at the start. Let's start with the General Data Protection Regulation. This is my copy, well thumbed. It's got a number of different sections in it, 99 articles, 11 chapters. They are going to transform the way your company manages information about people. In red, I've marked up the sections that I'm particularly interested in. They relate to the principles with a specific emphasis on the need for the individual, the data subject, to give consent. The second thing is that the data subjects have been granted a whole series of new rights. They have right to access their information, they have rights to transfer it, they have rights to get it rectified in the event there are any issues in it. And of course the regulators have rights of access to your premises and the rights to see, I know it's a different section, but they have rights to go and see that information, check the data flows, check how you are controlling it, check the quality of that data. There are a whole series of new rights that you have to concern yourself with. As a result of those new rights that the data subject has, you as a data controller or a data processor have to make sure that you implement appropriate processes and system changes, plus all the data governance, plus data quality, plus controls. Transfer of personal data to third countries or to subsidiaries overseas, all of these things are much more tightly controlled. There have been many breaches of personal data in recent months and years. This regulation is all about tightening those up. And to make sure that you do it, here's the big one with remedies, liabilities and penalties. So here we have remedies, liabilities. You can be sued by data subjects for any negligence or for misuse. There are penalties of up to 4% of global annual turnover. So no longer is it a £500,000 maximum fine, it's now an altogether different regime. So there are various underpinning messages in this. So one of the things about this is that the EU and most countries see data protection or see personal data as a fundamental right, protection of personal data as a fundamental right of people within their country or within their region. So the EU and other organisations expect you to respect that right and to evidence the fact that you are doing everything you can to make sure that you are holding that data in safe custody, that you are respecting the individuals that you are dealing with. So there is a requirement to embed this whole design, data protection by design and default into the culture, into the values of your organisation, and that's one of the key things that comes through on this. So that's very much a sort of bottom-up approach. From the, if you like, the top down, there is a whole issue of top management accountability for that data. It is a key requirement that data protection is now a board level agenda item. That's the level it must be at, and there is an expectation that, there isn't an expectation, there is a demand that named senior management will be accountable for the protection of that data. And of course, to do that, you have to know where that data is, and not just where you think it is, but you have to know all the various places, whether it's your production databases, your test databases, spreadsheets where people have taken bits of information from. You actually have to know where that is and become accountable for that. So there's a whole top-down accountability regime that will require you to know far more about the data, where you hold it, how you captured it, what consent you have for it, and what you've done with it in terms of transformation of it into other databases or manual filing systems that you may have around the organisation. And of course, That's a huge enterprise, so there's very much a risk-based approach about this, where we have to look at where is the most sensitive data, what are the risks that are associated with that if it gets breached and therefore gets put out onto the market, somebody steals it from you. Now, if that was the only thing we had to worry about, that's not bad. 25th of May 2018, a lot to do. Unfortunately, it isn't. If you're any size of international company, you've got a whole series of other data protection regulations. GDPR is for EU citizens. So we've got the UK after Brexit, we've got Asia, Canada, North America, United States, Australasia, Switzerland, lots and lots of different data privacy regimes. So your plan for what you're going to do has to make sure that you think about not just GDPR, but you also have to think about all the other privacy regimes and make sure that the changes that you put in place for managing data about people are effective for all of the different regimes. And again, if that was all we had to worry about, that would be good. But of course, there's lots of other legislation about people that we also have to think through. So we've got anti-money laundering, we've got know your client, we've got tax, we've got consumer credit, there's all sorts of financial fraud regulations that we have to concern ourselves about. That's just on finance, healthcare, education, telecoms, government, lots and lots of other regulations that impact the data that you have to store about people and how you have to keep it. So there's another set of things for our in-trade. And all of that so far has been about regulation. Now, regulation is not what life's about. Regulation is about how you should or what you should do and how you should behave. But the purpose of an organisation is to go about satisfying the needs of its particular customers, consumers, patients, students, whatever the target audience might be. So you will also have a whole series of things that you wish to do about improving your engagement with your end customer or your end patient or the student or whoever. You will want to make sure that you have a better engagement. You will want to roll out your digital engagement strategy. You will want to be doing things like big data analytics for marketing analysis, which of course is covered by GDPR in terms of what you can and can't do, what you can and can't do in terms of profiling, what you can and can't do in terms of automated decision making. So that's another load of things that we also have to think about on top of all. So our in-trade for managing data about people is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that, of course, just relates to the what we want to do, what we want to achieve, the outcomes, what we want to see our world look like with respect to how we deal with people. Now, what that actually means is that we then have to think about what we currently have, our business, our systems, our data architecture, all these different things, our customer relationship management systems, our account opening, our client servicing. It may be people fall into arrears, so there's arrears management. There may be all sorts of different things. There will be some sort of central database where you're pooling information from lots of different areas. And when we talk about what we need things to look like in 2 years' time, we're talking about making sure that we've gone through our in-tray of what it is we have to do and make sure that we change what we have to deliver the service in the way that we want it to be delivered. And of course, every significant firm has another set of things they want to do about this. They want to make sure that they simplify them. They want to take the cost out of their existing systems. They want to reduce the risk, the operational risk that is going on. So there's a whole load of additional things that they want to do in order to improve the way this works, to satisfy those requirements, to deliver everything that is required for the future in 2 or 3 years' time. And of course, there is one final twist, which is very significant for some of the regulations, because we don't just do everything internally, and naturally now we outsource to people who are specialised in the particular things that we wish to outsource as part of our business. So you've got contractual arrangements with lots of other organisations, and all of those now fall under GDPR and other data protection cross-border data transfer regulations. So you've got your own systems to sort out. You've also got to make sure that somebody else sorts out the systems that they've got with respect to the data they hold for you. And we've got to do that contractually, and we've got to make sure that culturally they do whatever we need them to do. So there is an awful lot to do.